What's up, YouTube family? Gerald Greenlee here with Clean & Green Lawn Service, and well, wet South GA. Hope y'all are having a great day. Rolling in the Titan, man. So when I went and picked the vehicle up, give you a little backstory here real quick. When I went and picked the vehicle up and brought it home, I checked the miles per gallon. And again, all of this is according to the electronics on the vehicle itself. This is the way I really check miles per gallon is as I fill up the tank and I run a whole tank through it and I fill it back up, and I divide the gallons that it took to fill it up into what the actual trip was. So let's say it was 400 miles and you know it took 20 gallons to fill it up, then that's 20 miles per gallon. That's what you're legitimately getting. Now some people would argue that these electronic devices on the vehicles are way off, and I've seen some that are on some vehicles I've had that are fairly close. Okay, now there again, I'm not here to argue that point, but what I'm saying is this: we are comparing apples to apples in as much as we are looking at the electronic device to give us a reading. So I'm going to throw in some footage that I took on the way back from my trip when I bought the truck. So in this next clip here, you're going to notice I'm going to be wearing something different, and it might have, I may say something in it that you go, what is he talking about? Well, that was going to be part of that first video, but I didn't want to make the first video so long, so I cut it out and decided to add it into this video. Okay, so let's roll that footage. All right, I know the way that's flashing, you might not be able to see it, but I've been on the highway for 45 miles, no stopping, and I'm getting 21.8 miles per gallon. And the reason I'm recording this is because now I'm coming into a town, just outside of a town, a few miles, that's got a number of red lights, and so it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm kind of surprised it's that good on the highway. That's as good as my Frontier was. So once we get on the other side of town, we'll kind of check it out and see where we're at. All right, so through that town, and there was some open areas, we went about 9 miles. We dropped 0.2 of a mile on the miles per gallon, but you know, that's in town only 8 or 9 of the 54 miles we've been. So once I put that trailer on there, it'll probably be down to 10 miles to the gallon. I don't know, we'll just have to see. I don't even know what the average on this is supposed to be, honestly. All right, with that backstory out of the way, what we ended up with, essentially, driving home from where I bought this at. I didn't show you when I got to the house, but when I got to the house, I was at about 22 miles per gallon. I think it was actually 22.1 for that entire trip. Now that's running roughly the speed limit, you know, 7 over, 5 to 7 over, with the cruise control set. You know, that was to set up just the truck. All right, so today I got my 6x12 trailer behind me. It's loaded down at its normal, you know, operating weight. I don't really know what that would be. I'm sure that, you know, I'm sure I'm, you know, with that cabinet and all that I built and put in there, I'm sure I'm probably at 2,000 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood, okay? And I got to make a trip to go to my in-laws, because I got a bed frame I need to pick up, and yesterday's my father-in-law's birthday, so my wife's down there, 2 of my daughters are there, and I was going to take the truck down there and pick it up, but then I got to looking at the forecast, and well, as you can see, rain. So I said, you know what, I'll just hook up my trailer. I got a trailer, I take it down there, I don't have to worry about it. Now chances are the sun will be out when I come home. That's how things work. But when you got a 2-hour drive, weather can be very unpredictable, even on a good day. So I just didn't want to risk getting it soaking wet, you know, and potentially messing it up. I think that old bed frame is real wood, so, you know, and it's sealed and all. It probably would have been fine, but there again, I just didn't want to take the chance. So I said it'll be a good opportunity for me to pull the trailer and see how the truck does pulling the trailer. And again, this is going to be an open road trip. So the 22.1 miles per gallon was open road. All right, that's 100 miles, maybe, gosh, 12 red lights, somewhere between 10 and 15 red lights. So most of the towns that I went through don't even have red lights. They have a 45-mile-an-hour speed zone. So again, that's open road. I'm not going to get that driving around here where I drive. All right, so we're doing an open road trip here, kind of the same scenario, but with the trailer behind us. And I can tell you, this 6x12, in my opinion, is harder to pull. The 6x12 enclosed is harder to pull than the 7x16 with one of the mowers on it and all the stick equipment and toolbox and all of that. This thing, even though it's a V-nose, man, it grabs the wind. So to be honest, a trailer like this is part of why I got this truck. And so I could put 2 mowers on the trailer that I pull. I couldn't do that with the Nissan, the Frontier. It just did not have the payload on the bumper. But we'll talk more about that in another video, kind of why I went through this whole process. So today's going to be about fuel mileage. So I'm going to get up here, I'm going to fill up the truck, and I'm going to reset it. We're going to get out on the road here. Let's see here, I can switch it over to this other thing. And hopefully y'all can see that, the little bar down here at the bottom. You see 0, 10, 20, 30 on it. I know that the way the current makes the screen, it flashes some on the GoPro. Oh, it just come up with an average 6.3. Of course, we're just now taking off, so that's gonna kind of be your stop and go miles per gallon, I would imagine. So I'm gonna run it through this town, and I'm gonna run it through the next town, and they're probably about 10 miles apart. Then we'll get out on some open road, but I'm gonna kind of see what it is after we go through these towns, so I'll check back with you then. All right, we got through those 2 towns, which again, probably 8 to 10 miles apart, probably more like 6 miles once you get out of the little bit of congestion they create, but I don't know, not very far apart. Actually did a little better than I thought. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but we are at 11.2 miles per gallon. Now we got one more red light down here before we officially get out on the open road. Don't know if we'll get caught at it or not. Looks like we will. Just turned yellow, and so it's going to be interesting to see how it does out on the open road. Is it going to be better than that? You would think, but now I do have it in tow mode. I just put it in that because I got something behind it, and I'm guessing with all these smart electronics and whatnot, that has an effect on the way it shifts and optimizes it for pulling. Again, I haven't read up on all of the features of this thing. There's probably compartments on here I still haven't found. Didn't pay a whole lot of attention. I didn't buy the truck for the features necessarily. I bought it for the price and you know, the size, the horsepower, the payload, the towing, that sort of thing. All right, so we're about 35 overall miles into the trip. We've been on some open road. Right now we are at 10.5 miles per gallon overall. It is, here's what I found so far. So we're in a 55. I got the cruise set on 63. What I found in town, easy accelerating. You can't ray. If you know, you know. what that means. But, you know, just, you know, not easing off and taking 2 miles to get up to speed, but also not just hammering down and taking off. We came out of those 2 towns at 11.5. That was mostly 45-mile-an-hour zones, mostly, with some red lights. It's doing okay at 62, 63 miles an hour, but when you get into 65 and you run it up to, like right now, we're running a little over 2,000 RPMs. Yesterday, I was running a little over 1,500 with no trailer at 63, let's say. Somewhere in that neighborhood anyway. When you get out into the 65 zone and you set it 70, 72 miles an hour, that thing's turning over 2,500 RPMs. I'm guessing that it's only going up to about 6th, maybe 7th gear. It's where it's shifting up to. It's holding it there. And again, you know, this trailer is aerodynamic as far as a enclosed trailer is concerned, I suppose. But if you've never pulled trailers, you'd be very surprised how much wind resistance, you know, changes your fuel mileage. It does. If you've noticed, some people pull utility trailers and they even put the mesh gate, they lay them down flat inside the trailer. And that's because it doesn't create as much resistance doing it that way, you know, so. But we've been hanging around for the last, we dropped down, when we come out of town and got out on the road, we dropped down to 10.5 miles a gallon, and we have pretty well stayed around that mark. I'm guessing, you know, that's probably where we're going to be at. Like we're going into like a 45 now. I'm just going to set this thing on like 50 miles an hour and kind of show you where it's at. See, at 50 miles an hour, you're you know, your low end, you're at 12. The little bar is shooting anywhere from 12 to 15 miles a gallon. So it's really RPMs over here, 1,400. So pulling on this in a flat situation, it loves it. And as you increase in, you know, your miles per hour, you certainly get to watch that miles per gallon go down. And anybody that's, you know, if you know anything about vehicles, even without towing something, when you go up in miles per hour, there's that ideal spot that a vehicle has, and it's a little different on, you know, most all vehicles, but when you get above that ideal spot, the further you go above it, the more your fuel mileage goes down. All right, so after 83.3 miles, 1 hour and 34 minutes, we are at 10.1 miles per gallon. Yeah. So, again, I don't know if you can see that. I like to try to show that stuff. You know, I know the folks that watch the channel normally, if you even interested in this, you know that I'm gonna give you the real deal. But because, you know, we're looking at the Titan, there might be some people come on the channel that don't know me and they like, hey, this guy's making this up, you know, yada yada yada, whatever. Anyway, we're still holding, we're in a 55 right now, doing about 63, and our average right now is about 10.5 according to that, and it stays at about 10.3, somewhere around in there when I'm in the 65 mile an hour zone. Once you, like I said, once you go over that 62 or 63, it really drops down. I imagine if I run 62, it'd probably be getting 11 plus miles to the gallon for the trip. It'd probably get another mile per gallon anyway. It's me again, man. It is me again. If you're my age or older, you probably heard this phrase before. It's me again, Margaret. All right, see where we at? I decided to come on back home to get gas, or come all the way back to, you know, 6.5 miles from my house. So I didn't stop back there where we stopped. We're gonna be at 100. We're at 193 miles right now. And, well, 193.1.2. So we're gonna be just a little under 194 when we fill up. We are averaging, according to this, 11 miles per gallon. So that's what we have averaged on this trip. It came up on the way back. And again, most of this is, you know, it's a good mixture. Open highway, 45, 55, 65 mile an hour speed limits, running about 7 over. With the cruise set the majority of the time to keep it consistent. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And you hear that thing gear down? It really does it with that in that tow mode. That's part of what that does, I think. But anyway, I don't know how this thing does definitely turn a lot better than the Nissan. So what I'm fixing to do is get over here at this pump. I'm gonna fill this bad boy up, and then we're gonna get in here and we are going to do the numbers and see how it actually comes out. So stay tuned. All right, so here is what we have got. Let's see here. We have 193.7. I don't know if y'all can see that, but anyway, it's 193.7. That's how far we've been. And we just got 18.73 gallons of fuel. So let's see, 193.7 divided by 18.73. All right, so here's what we got. This says 10.34. That's actual, because that's odometer. So it's synced with the odometer, I'm sure. It's got to be. So that's coming out at 10.3. The truck says that we averaged 11. Now, I'm going to say that's pretty doggone close. And the reason I'm going to say that's pretty doggone close is because if you stop and think about it, I would expect that the mileage would be off more when you're towing something. Because when you tow something, it has everything. When you're towing something, I hope y'all can see. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter if you can see me. I can look through my other lens here. Yeah, you can see me good. Better than you want to, probably. When you're towing something, it exaggerates everything. So, you know, we'll run it one time. I'll try to run a tank through if I have to go somewhere on a trip where I'm not pulling anything, and we're gonna go, you know, a couple of 100 miles and stop and fill up. I'll try that and see what happens. But I got about, you could say safely, we got 10 miles per gallon, or as my phone said, 10.3, 10.4. I've already forgot what that was, that number. Let me look at it one more time just so I'm telling you right. 10.34. So we definitely got north of 10 miles per gallon pulling the trailer, over, you know, approximately 200 miles. There was a little bit of idle time. My wife had not seen the truck yet. She went and sat in it and let it run for about 10 minutes and looked around at everything in it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so all right, look, I'm gonna get off here. Appreciate you taking this little tour with me, this information. Loving the truck so far. And again, 10 miles to the gallon, that doesn't bother me. Not when you're in the towing world, not when you're pulling stuff. The Frontier didn't do any better than that. And you know, of course, now this one may do a little different with the other trailer. We'll just have to see. I don't think it's going to be any worse. It's going to be heavier, but it's got a lot less wind resistance. So we'll just see. But and the F-150 is, I mean, I think it's under 10 miles per gallon pulling the lawn set up. So not bad, not bad. All right, hey, appreciate y'all watching. Hope it helped somebody, gave you something to think about. Maybe you can use this method to check the vehicle that you own. My prayer for you is always the same, that the Lord might richly bless you and that you might see all of your blessings as from Him. Hope you have a great day.